Thanks, Kate, for joining me this morning, and we're going to go over quite a few things around mindset, mental health, habits, triggers, why willpower fails, and things like that. But first, can you give me a little bit about you and your background, and what got you into doing this in the first place?
My background's in education.
Yep.
And through a series of exciting adventures, I got into the science of behaviour. And strangely enough, it started off with horses. So horses, education, horses, back into kind of education.
You did some with kids as well, though, didn't you, with that?
Yeah. I did my training initially around wanting to know more about behavioural science, because I was training my horses using positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to expand my theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
So that led me down a path to, I did a lot of, back in the day when it was online, not online, rather, mail.
Mail.
Correspondence school.
Oh, yeah.
And then finally was successful in applying for the Auckland University Applied Behaviour Analysis course, which actually required, it's quite interesting, a history of psychology, and I didn't have any training prior to doing my my correspondence course stuff, but I did have a lot of practical experience, and that kind of pushed me over into getting accepted. Despite the fact that my practical experience was with animals. And then through that, I then got back into working in schools, and I was a psychologist for the Ministry of Education using my behaviour analytics skills. The foundation was understanding that we could change people's behaviour.
Yes.
And what grew out of that was a lot of stuff that was not very good. So there's some great stories around how they were using it in old people's homes.
Yeah.
With no ethics, no regard for the client, but they just knew they could change behaviour, manipulate behaviour.
Right.
So out of that grew this need to have a strong code of ethics, which is where applied behaviour analysis came in. And we realised that it wasn't enough just to change behaviour. We needed to understand what was in the best interests of the client.
Yeah.
So our field is really concerned with the benefits to the client and understanding the why behind the behaviour. In order to plan and create behaviour change. So my interest has been in supporting people to understand why they do what they do, that there's logic behind it. You're not broken, there's not a problem with you. And then saying, well, how can we fill the gap created by reducing the behaviour you don't want and introducing a desired behaviour? Yeah. So for me, the link to fitness came about, after I'd got my qualification. I thought, I want to be able to show people that this stuff works.
Yes.
What better way to do it than apply it to yourself?
Yeah, what a great call, right?
And you don't know me before I got into marketing, right? So the transition has been massive. I used to dress from here.
Yeah. I think you and I had similar history in the way that we were both really into running for a long time. We were both disordered eaters, So we had some real commonalities, and I think both of us kind of went to bodybuilding for that ability to have some confidence and feel better about ourselves. And the byproduct of it is that we sort of started to learn a bit better around nutrition and food, and went up from there.
Definitely. And it's been life-changing.
Yes,
absolutely. It's work in progress. I always say to my clients, I'm a work in progress, but I think understanding the why behind what you're doing is incredible. It's liberating.
Once you understand why, you can then make decisions on how to change, fix, adjust things. But if you don't know why you're doing something, you will keep on doing it.
Yeah, 2016, I was a psychologist, and then I took the international exam which is an American exam to become a board certified behaviour analyst. And it's very good supporting going training.
Yes.
It's
a bit more real, I feel, as well. It's a bit more applicable, more people. Nothing wrong with psychology counselling. There's a massive need for it, and I've done it myself, and I've had benefits from it. However, there are a lot of the time it's like dealing with tools and strategies to help navigate past trauma. Now, if we understand why we're doing certain things, then you can develop your own tools and strategies naturally that work better for you, rather than trying to implement other tools and strategies. Yes, they can help sometimes, but I think you need to really understand your behavior patterns, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and it's transferable for all other areas of your life as well. Like what you were trying to, I guess, show with your bodybuilding journey, that the behavioral patterns and the why behind things is replicable for other things as well.
Love it, Chris. And I think you've nailed something really important, which is, and this is something that comes up in ABA, is it's the study of one. We're the only science that actually look at individuals.
Yes.
Our research is always based on individual outcomes, like the individual serves as the baseline.
Yeah.
So we measure your behavior and the intervention progress, and then it's all about replication. So if you get 50 people over time who've had similar results, then you can make a sort of broader assumption about the treatment, but it's always about the individual. And I think this is so important because and I mean, you and I have talked about this before with these blanket cookie cutter, I love your expression, cookie cutter formulas for and there's an element of relevance in them, but I think you've got to allow for that individual nuance, which
absolutely, cookie cutter stuff, you can download that from the internet any day of the week. So why aren't more people successful on it? Well, it's not tailored to them, and it doesn't suit their lifestyle. There's so many other nuances to everything that we do in life. So we need to have something that's going to work for you now, but then also something that we can adjust and adapt as your life changes. Yep.
Sustainable, that magic word. The information's out there.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, but it's the application that's missing. There's the gap between knowing and actually doing is way too big for most of us.
And I think also the why, the why is big for me, both of us, right? So I always like to explain the why. I can tell you to drink 2.5 liters of water per day, and you'll be like, oh, okay, my coach said for me to do that. But if I tell you why to do that, you're more likely to do it and more likely to stick to it, whether we're working together or not. And then you see all the benefit from it.
Yep.
Why you can't stick to it. Because this is something that's huge, right? Even a lot of people do all the different diets and different training plans and different challenges, etc. And none of it, or very few people, are able to stick to something long term.
Yeah.
Why?
Right. Here's my notes. I think you mentioned the magic word, that willpower. And I always say to people, willpower is not measurable, right? We can't measure it. It's what we call a construct. And essentially, when you're looking at people who have supposed willpower to follow through with something, it's usually a collection of behaviours, right?
Yeah.
And if you actually start drilling down, you will start to identify key features of that. But this idea that you spend, 6 weeks doing something or 3 months and then it falls off is, I think it's linked to a number of things. Most of us can endure pain
for a period of time. Yeah.
A defined period of time, right? And we keep saying to ourselves, it's only another 3 weeks, only another whatever. There's also the reinforcement at the end of it that we get excited about because it's not too far out.
Yeah. Having a goal to work towards that's, not 2 years away. That's really important. Yeah.
So most of us can often drive ourselves to complete that 6 weeks or that 3 months. But I think you've pointed this out in the past. Often what we're missing is the education around that, the long-term change. It's very short-term. It's very structured. This is what you need to do for these 6 weeks, rather than this is forming the foundation of a lifestyle change.
Yeah, behavioural change. We talk about, has to be sustainable forever.
And if we view it as a lifestyle change as opposed to I'm going to do it for 6 weeks so I can get in the wedding dress or the whatever, we're likely to take it on board. And the other thing is this idea that once you've got that goal, it's where to next. There's no ongoing planning. There's no what we would term sort of maintenance plan around it. How are you going to maintain that achievement? But I think going back to what you said earlier was another version of the why is why are we doing it in the first place?
Why are you aligning yourself to this goal, right? What does it mean to you? And we've talked a lot about this in the past, is really defining your goals, placing the true worth on them. So for an example, a lot of people say, I want to lose weight. It's like, no, you don't. You don't want to lose weight. What you want to do is you want to feel better, more confident, move better, have longevity of life, play with your children when you're 60, 70, 80, all that kind of stuff, grandchildren, whatever it is. It's quality of life. It's a whole lot of other more emotional reasons as to why you want to lose weight. Weight loss is the byproduct of all the other things that you're getting.
Love it. And if that's not tied into that 6-week challenge or that 3-month challenge, it's going to be a lot harder to sustain it ongoing. And I mean, this is why you hear people doing serial challenges, don't you know? I've heard them say, "Oh, I'm doing another one. I'm doing another one."
Always, another challenge every couple of challenge, detox challenge.
Right, up to a point, right? But if you're going backwards all the time, back to the beginning, and you're not actually growing and advancing. I've talked to my clients a lot about the next level, like talked about video game type approach where, you're doing level 1 and then you're constantly growing.
But if you're laying up yourself.
So it's I think the why you're not sticking to it is built up from that big picture thinking. And I think I've shared that with you before. What is my ultimate overarching reason for doing that?
And we talked about this in particular around your 7 whys, really nailing what your reasoning is and spending a bit of time. And, I get a lot of people to do this that I work with as well. And you have to do it multiple times sometimes, because the first time you do it, it's kind of scary and it's a bit awkward, and you maybe not quite aligning, you're not being as true to yourself as what you probably need to be. And then the more you do it, the better you get at really digging deep into your reasoning as to why you want to achieve these goals. And often the why is, something you didn't even consider at the time, and it's completely, left field, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's actually my why. And it's your why because you get goosebumps. You're like, oh gosh, this is really vulnerable now, right now. Do not like this. That's your why. Yes, people start twisting in their chair.
It's
like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
It's coming from here as opposed from here. And what you often notice when you're doing it is the first few answers are very practical. I need to lose weight because I need to feel, I need to be healthy. It's not good for me and I'm getting asthma or whatever. And then finally, one client said to me, I've never, ever stuck to anything in my entire life. And this is why. This is a must. And I think, it's finding the right person to talk to about it as well. People have got to feel confident. It's hard to do it on your own.
It is hard to do it on your own. And that's why I say, you have to do it several times. The first couple of times you do it, you probably won't be on, where you need to be. That's okay. It's just about learning and practicing, being honest with yourself, truly honest with yourself, all the flaws, all the issues. It's easy to say weight loss or whatever, get stronger, whatever, and have sort of superficial reasonings around it, but it's not emotionally connected to you yet. You need to be really emotionally connected to that goal, because we know, and this is the willpower side of things, and the ability to stick to things, is that if that goal is not really, really important to you, more important than what's going on day-to-day life for you, day-to-day life is always going to win. Because there's going to be challenges every single day, right? So it has to be more important than all those little things or big things that come in to try and disrupt that process to that goal.
Mm.
And I think another point on that would be people who are striving for perfection, right?
Yep.
Mm.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
All or nothing. If I can't
Or
do
nothing.
it properly, I'm not going to do it at all. And yeah, and it's just like you and I were talking about, me getting back up on stage this year.
Yeah.
I'm accepting that, I may not be at the top of my game, but it's about enjoying the process and remembering to have some fun along the way as well. I think this is something else that there is room for enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Leads us into this idea that we have got patterns of behavior that don't necessarily serve us, right? See, habits can be good and not beneficial for us. Beneficial and not beneficial. I always think of you with food, Chris. What is it? Suboptimal. I've used that with clients. She'll say, "Oh, I ate really badly." And I said,
yeah.
Like a coach, and he talks about optimal and suboptimal.
Yeah. Get away from negative connotations, because all that happens is you feel bad, feel guilty. And what do you do when you feel guilty and sad is that you probably go back to the less quality choices and, repeat.
Yeah.
So redefining that. And also understanding if we make a mistake, it's done. Learn from it, move forward in a positive way. Don't try to fix it. It's done. You can't fix it, right? It's broken, but it's also fixable. And then you can and you fix it by resetting and focusing on what you need to do every single day and ticking those boxes.
Yeah. And I think, as you said, with that reset, once you can recognize patterns and habits that don't serve you, it's then being able to say, how do I reset and actually maintain that reset and not back?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, it's actually being able to recognize patterns of behavior. When people start talking about patterns and things they've noticed, I go, yeah, they're ready.
Yes.
But if people can't see the patterns and they're just going, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight or why I'm not progressing and whatever it is they're trying to achieve results, and that is more challenging.
Yeah.
But if someone can see the habits but just doesn't know what to do, there's more potential for faster change to occur.
And I guess that's why, talking to someone like yourself would be really beneficial for people if they don't know, why they're doing things. And because you're able to say, well, what has the past been like? What have led you to this decision? And, what sort of things have come from it?
And I think, when you said about not beating yourself up, this is something that because I recognize it in myself, is understanding that what you did in the past, and that the past can be last week, right? Was working for you at the time.
Yes.
And it's just, if you've got this new goal and you go, I think it's a term from acceptance and commitment therapy, I think. And it's like a decision tree. Is this taking me closer to my goal? Choice point, closer to my goal or further away?
Yeah.
So it's completely non-judgmental.
Yes.
So simple example, I've got a donut in front of me, but I'm stepping on stage in September. So I ask myself in that moment, is this donut getting me closer to stage condition or further away?
Yeah.
There is no judgment around it.
Yeah.
And if we can start treating our mistakes or our failures through that sort of lens of, is it taking me closer or further away? I think it's a far more sustainable approach, and it doesn't take us. It's like slashing the other 3 tires. If you heard that one,
yeah. Well, use that exact analogy. Like I said, like you get a car, you back into a lamppost, you break the tail light, and you go, the car's broken. I may as well write the whole thing off.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And it's the same thing with people with their diets, with their training. They miss a day, they binge eat, they go off plan, whatever it is, and they go, I'm done, I failed. I'll give up. I'll throw the toys out with what we've got. And it's like, why? It's a mistake. Learn from it, grow from it, be stronger, and be better next time.
Yeah.
That's how we learn. By making mistakes. You don't learn by getting it right all the time.
I know, but we struggle with that.
Yes.
Big time. And the other one that I say is, even when people are doing that, so if somebody starts doing that sort of says that sort of statement to me about, I can't stick to anything or I always fail, I just challenge them is, how is that serving you? Is that serving you? Because it's sometimes there are people out there who that absolutely pushes them into action.
Yep.
So it's knowing what works for you. But for most of my clients, that self talk actually just spirals them down.
Yeah.
And this is knowing when people actually do need a bit of tough love versus no, most people actually need talking up, and they need reminding to focus on the small wins.
Exactly. Yeah. If you got one thing wrong, or one thing wasn't met to your expectation level, like a number on a scale, but you ticked everything else off in a positive way, then, and you got 10 things that you need to tick off, and one of them wasn't good, there's still 9 other things that are positive.
Yeah.
It's just not showing you what your expectation was. And expectations aren't always aligned with the reality. So maybe reality isn't real.
Yeah. Which is why having somebody alongside you with that slightly distant perspective on it. And it's the same thing with, with whatever you're doing. Where are you now? This was the other one. What's your current capacity? And build from that. Whereas most people go, well, there's Chris and he's doing this, so if I want to be on stage, I need to be
the same. It's like, no. Works for me, but only works for me temporarily. And then, like you say, week to week, you're changing. My food doesn't. This is why I don't do a lot of stuff around what I eat in a day, because it's pointless. It changes for me week to week a lot of the time, especially in a prep. So why would I want other people to go off what I'm eating? It doesn't make sense, because they're different. They've got different goals, different bodies, different ETAs on what they need to do and where they need to be. So it just doesn't make sense. And what it needs to be is specific to them, realistic to them, and sustainable to them as much as we possibly can. Prep's a little bit different, right? We have to go a little bit harder, a little bit more restrictive, and maybe it's not as sustainable long term, but the foundation is sustainable.
Yeah. And I think you've just reminded me of another one that we do when we compare ourselves, is we look at the results and we'll say, and again, if we go back to where our current position is, if you've never run before, to go out and run 5Ks is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody who's competing and running marathons and goes out and runs 5Ks, to them, it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we often downgrade our achievement because we're comparing ourselves to someone who's extremely skilled, talented, experienced, or whatever.
Yeah. Or spent years, decades doing that thing. You do it for 3 months, and you expect to be a 10-year, progress. Come on.
Yeah. Look at you compare, and which comes back, funnily enough, to this whole study of one. You are your own baseline. So where are you now? And compare your results to where you started. And I think that's been huge. That has been huge for some of my clients when I call them out on that. And they're looking at their neighbours or their friends or somebody on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we do it, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, that age-old saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
But the issue with that saying is that it's geared around the fact that we never compare ourselves to those that we perceive as below us. So if you compare to people who you perceive as below you, your comparison will be the best ego boost you could ever have. Right? So it's because we're always looking for that little bit extra. Oh, this person's doing all this. Why can't I be like that? They look like this. They're incredible, etc., etc. But well, that's not you. And there's a whole lot of other nuances and history and behavior and decades of other things going on, and you don't know what their life is like. So why are you comparing your life to their life when it's completely different? It's apples and bananas kind of thing.
And I think, again, coming back to that idea of leverage, you can leverage off certain things around that comparison. And I love the way you said, looking. It sounds a bit looking down, but looking at where you were and your peers maybe who are in your network who aren't in your sport or in your whatever it is, and going, yeah, in comparison, I am fitter, I'm healthier, and whatever.
Yeah.
And if you can leverage off that and it works for you, great. But equally, I've often found I wanted to be challenged.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's easy to look around and go, well, yeah, I'm pretty good for my age compared to some of my friends.
Yeah.
You want to be challenged and you want to be looking at the next level and aspiring,
yeah.
but not necessarily, as you said, going, well, why aren't I there? Because I may never be there.
Yeah.
But it can inspire me to keep going.
It depends on what motivates that person, right? Like for me, if someone says I can't do something, I'm like, I'm going to do it then. It's going to make me want to do it. But other people, if you say you can't do it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not good enough at all. Yeah. So it really depends on the person, what gets them going. And then utilizing and harnessing that, I guess, for lack of a better word, power that we have within ourselves to harness things and then really optimize it to suit our ability to reach our goals.
Yeah. And that comes back to something that I was going to share with you, which is this idea of reinforcement. You know, what drives you? What will you work for? What will you put yourself through in order to access? And actually doing a self-assessment of what's important to you. What do you value? What could you be paid, either in money, items, whatever? Just going, well, what would make me want to do that?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we'll often look at people, won't we, doing these jobs and we go, God, who would do that?
Yeah.
Something there. And this is why it's different for everybody. And talking to somebody who understands that reinforcement is different for everybody, and just because I think it's reinforcing a behavior, it may not for that other person. Exactly. And then we see that because people are working for peanuts, right?
Yeah.
And then people are equally saying, I wouldn't get out of bed for whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually challenging yourself to go, well, what would it take? What price am I prepared to pay?
Yeah.
To get that result?
There's always a sacrifice with every goal, right? And I always, you know, something I tell a lot to the people I work with, that athletes I work with, is that their mates are going out for dinner, or there's a party going on, or there's a dinner out, right? And they've got their goal. And so you need to weigh it up every single time, right? Do I sacrifice the dinner out for the goal, or do I sacrifice the goal or delay the ability to reach the goal for the dinner? There's no right or wrong answer. It just comes down to what your priority is, right? And sometimes if your goal allows for it, then choosing the dinner out is absolutely fine. You know, be out with your family, you haven't seen them for ages, go enjoy it. Don't feel guilty about it. Just go and have that dinner out and enjoy it, and then reset.
Yes.
Focus back on what you need to do to reach your goal.
Yeah. I love it, because what people, I've been there, right? You make that decision, right? I'm going to go. I'm just going to go. But then you spend the whole time actually not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling guilty because of this goal. So, yeah, once you've made that decision, do it and have fun.
Yeah.
Or else you might as well not have done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's kind of that I have to add a bit of guilt to it too, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is linked into that whole idea of delayed gratification as well.
Yeah.
And being aware, am I just trying to feel good in the moment? Or am I actually prepared to skip that because I really, really want this long-term goal?
Yeah, exactly. And again, comes back to the value you place on your goals.
Yeah.
Your alignment to it, your emotional connection to it. If it's not big enough for you, the other stuff is always going to dictate it.
What are your values, full stop?
Yeah.
Being clear on that.
Yeah.
Because that's going to create a whole different slant on your goals as well. Because I think you and I talked about a while ago, you know, when, for instance, if you trained for a comp and the comp gets cancelled, you know, do you just write off all that prep and go, oh, I've just, you know, this is a waste of time and all this sort of thing? Or do you have the value of, well, that was an invaluable prep and now I just build on it because stuff happens, things get cancelled? that I'm going to be 10 times better when I get to my next. So I think it's again, it's that zooming out and getting a big picture of what's important to you.
Yeah. And you do a bit of work around value setting as well, because I know when we were doing our course together, is that that was something that you were big on, is defining people's values, and had a little exercise for them on how to do that, right?
Yeah. And that to me, that's the foundation work. That's like your you know, what you build on. Because if you're not clear on what's important to you in your life, going back to that decision, do I go to dinner or do I go to my goal? Do I focus on my goal? You want to be using your values to guide that decision. And it's Tony Robbins, all decision making is value clarification. So every time you're making a decision, you're getting clearer on what's important to you, or maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it hard, right? And I think this is something that I wanted to talk about as well, is around I'm probably pronouncing this incorrectly, but your anterior cortex, which is yeah, it's a tricky word, which is a trainable part of your brain that is responsible for a lot of our decision making. And I talk about this a lot with my athletes, is that if you always choose the suboptimal, not great decision, your brain is literally trained to choose that option more and more and more. And it's the same with negativity. If we always look at the negative, you just get really good at seeing the negative. But you can also train it to do completely the opposite. Yeah.
No, and from even more, I mean, that's going next level, right? Looking at the physicality behind training, but just from a practical behavioral thing, you're rehearsing. Think of it as I'm practicing looking for the bad stuff all the time. And I saw this in schools. You know, teachers would point out every bad behavior. Most of the boys, it's always the boys. And I'd have been sitting in the classroom talking with them, because there's always one problem child. And we'd been sitting for 20 minutes at the back of the classroom, and there'd been not an issue in the room, but nothing was done about it. So she was just hardwired. Whereas the minute that kid, there he goes, see. Whereas I'm going, but for 20 minutes, they've all been working like little Trojans. And that's that mixture of she's hardwired to look for and she's waiting for it. To on it, but also those kids are learning that doing the right thing, I say right thing, gets you nowhere.
You just get ignored.
And I think, you know, we've been conditioned to that, so then we beat ourselves up because we're never enough, and just being good enough isn't enough. And then when we make a mistake, it's I always do this, and I'm going, no, you don't. How many times have you done that? But it's so huge for us, we blow it out of proportion.
There's a real fear of making mistakes, real fear. You know, our kids at school, you know, my youngest one, she's big with this, is that she never wants to get anything wrong, but I'm always telling her, you have to make mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. That is the best time for you to learn. It's the same with coaching people. They're like, I've made a mistake. How can I fix it? It's like, just learn from it. Fix it.
And I've been fascinated by that, because that is me. And the irony is, as you said, from a learning perspective, we know that we start and we learn something and we get better and better, but along the way we're going to be correcting and adjusting. But I still struggle to go into something new and not get it right first time. And so I've constantly tried to put myself in learning situations to challenge that. And it is ingrained. It starts in the school system. I mean, we have flipping things to rub. We have Twink. We have things to rub stuff out. People need to feel successful early on. And they need help to recognize what early success looks like, which is that minimal, whatever it is. I can do one weight, 3 times, and then compare that starting point 2 weeks later. Now I can do 10 reps or whatever.
And everyone's different with that as well. So some people hit the ground running really efficiently, and they just seem to get it. Other people it takes a little longer.
Mm.
So there's,
I'm going to put my hand up there.
well, it's not, and it's not a bad thing. It's just,
Yeah.
I think sometimes if you have a few more struggles, it builds a lot more resilience for you if you keep on it, and you can generally have a better long-term outcome.
Yeah.
You've gone through some stuff. You have to go through some stuff, right? And then that person, their improvement might be going from 2 glasses of water to 3 in a week. Is it a massive thing in the grand scheme of things? Not really, but it's the start point. It's one step. Do one step every single day. By the end of the year, you've climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah. And we get that, don't we? A single journey. What is it? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We get that, but we don't look at it from a point of view of that applies to everything that we are doing in life.
Yeah.
And the challenges. I love that you bring that up, because I have encouraged clients to look at people that you admire and dig into their backgrounds. Very few people have just gone, hey, my life's fine, everything worked out really well, and now I'm rich and famous,
Yeah.
It's those analogies to what is it, carving out of a rock, it's chipping away at stuff, isn't it? And the struggles build the strength, which is weightlifting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to tear something down in order to build it up.
Yeah.
And I think there is a fine line. The older I've got, the more I've challenged this sort of no pain, no gain. You just go in and make your life miserable. I don't think we need to be that extreme. I think.
Well, I mean, and if we look at actual research and data on this, we know that you're going to elicit hypertrophy from an 8, 9 out of 10 intensity as much as a 10 out of 10 intensity. In fact, it's better to do your 8 or 9 because the risk factor is lower, your recovery is better, and you can progress it next week. Yeah. You can't, it's very hard to progress a 10 out of 10 intensity on every single set, single rep. And at some point, something's going to give. Because it's 10 to 10. It's at that point of break point.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Well, it is though, isn't it? Because we have been kind of conditioned to that, which then you get that all or nothing. Oh, I can't do it at 10 out of 10, so I won't even try. And I think that, the ability to be able to just keep extending yourself, and that idea that we are always growing.
Yes.
I've been framing that as opposed to change.
Yeah, okay.
So no, we're just growing. Everything you do is you're growing into this new version of you.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I think change can be really confronting. Yeah. Or you need to change what you're doing. You need to.
There's something wrong with you if you have to.
Yes. Yes. The deficit. That was something else that I jotted out. That deficit. That you've got a personal flaw. You've got a characteristic that you're undisciplined, you're unmotivated, you're lazy. And I go 9 times out of 10, you actually have no clear vision, no powerful goals, because you've beaten yourself up.
Yeah.
For so long.
Yeah.
Been unsuccessful. You've got a history of not achieving and just repeating that pattern.
Yeah. Well, and you would talk about, I guess this would be something that's quite relevant for you and what your work is that you get comfortable with the negative. It's like abusive relationships, right? Yeah. You tend to look for subconsciously the same sort of environment because while it's not right, it's your place of comfort because it's the devil that you know.
Yeah. And that's something else I jotted down was environment.
Yes.
Huge part of any decision making to grow into something different.
Yeah.
Is your environment supporting you? What barriers are within your control and what aren't? And again, this sort of view of your behavior means it's not just about you having a flaw. It's, I'm living in a high-rise apartment. The gym is 3 hours away. You know, I've got no, so there's a very good reason why I am struggling to exercise.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And then once you start looking like that, you can say, well, okay, so it's going to be harder for me to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So how can I make it easier?
Yes.
Maybe then the behavior analyst would say, well, how can we start small
Yes.
with what you've got?
Yeah.
So it's not, well, you need to move out of your apartment. You need to get a gym on your doorstep.
Change your whole life. Turn it upside down. Yeah.
No. Whereas, you know, maybe you just get some bands and a couple of weights and you just play around at home for a bit.
Yep. It's something. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. But the environment and the influence it has on our behavior is really underrated. And it's also underrated how much control that we do have over our environment.
Yes.
We often don't need to get up and shift.
Yeah.
Just need to tweak. And I mean, I've talked to Amber, we've had discussions about this around food in the house. You know, we both joked about what we need to get rid of, so that you actually have to get in the car and drive to the supermarket to buy an item versus, well, it's just hidden in a cupboard and I know damn well where it is.
Yeah. But out of sight, you know, therefore out of mind to a point, right? It does help a lot, just removing that temptation from front of mind. It's kind of the problem with food is, while it's not chemically addictive, I mean, everything can be psychologically addictive. And if we compare a drug, you know, a drug addict, they are not surrounded by cocaine, pee, heroin, you know, in their pantry, you know, if they're trying to recover from it. It's not in the house. We can't do that with food. And especially when you've got kids, you can't be like, sorry, kids, you're on the same diet as me and bodybuilding. They'll be like, no, thank you. We can't always eliminate all the triggers. I've got a few theories on that, but especially your take on, you know, in that situation where you can't get rid of some of these things that do trigger you, what would be some strategies you could use?
So that is such a, because I'm in a privileged position where I don't have to worry about that. I do have to worry if anybody wants to come around to eat anything. Because
celery, guys. You want some celery, some cucumber?
Well, I've got rice cakes and peanut butter. Okay, so it's still going to be a mixture of that goal and that values and how important it is, how your why. That's going to be central to it, because you've now got to try and find a way to manage a situation where you're going to be exposed to this trigger, that this food item or whatever it is. You're trying to prepare food for the kids and food for yourself. So it has got to involve you reflecting on how important your goal is, how important what your why is. There's got to be that. But from a strategic point of view, you can focus on association. And I was going to touch on this, how we learn. We can learn through consequences. Outcomes. We do something and we get a consequence, or we can learn simply by pairing an event with an outcome. So we're not necessarily involved directly in it, and conditioning yourself to see that item of food with a negative outcome can be done. You can create that connection. So it's used in food aversion therapy, for example, you know, to try and get people over foods, or to create I mean, a lot of people who've drunk in the past and got hammered, some of them will never drink again. Because they remember that moment of feeling so ill. It's just.
Yeah, and I can relate to that as well, because, you know, I don't drink, and it's not for a hatred of alcohol or anything like that. Well, I don't think it's very good for anyone, but you know, if you had one or two here and there, it's not going to be the end of the world. I choose not to do that at all for a couple of reasons. One, because I don't really enjoy it. So that
It does help.
It does help. Two, I don't like the way it makes me feel. You know, I feel a little bit out of control, disorientated. I don't like that. You know, I like to be in control of my body at all times. Three, the other factor is what happens after. If I've had too much, I have a headache. I feel tired, lethargic, low energy, grumpy, and that's not fair on my family and my children. You know, the fact that I choose to do something that is not great, you know, suboptimal, and then it impacts on me, my mental health, and my behavior, and that flows into other people that I love and care and want to support. That's not okay, in my opinion. I don't like that. And I think you need to sacrifice that for the good of your family, because your kids didn't choose for you to go out and get drunk and come back and be grumpy and tired and tell them to shut up because they're too noisy, turn their TV down. It's like, no, you made that. It's not something, you didn't get sick. You chose to put that alcohol down your throat, and that's the consequence. So deal with it. Don't put it on everyone else.
And there you are leveraging off the negative.
Exactly.
So this is where you can start to go, okay, if I'm going to focus on the negative, I'm going to make it work for me. So I'm going to focus on exactly that and build up a massive repertoire of negatives associated with you partaking in drinking or eating that food, and leverage off that, because that is using it to your advantage. And I think it's understanding that. Another one is creating the space and the time in which to do that, because if you've got the item straight in front of you, often you reach for it and it's done. So somehow I say to people, you want to widen the gap between the thought of doing it and the action. And what you want to fill in that gap is your why, your values, and the negative effects of whatever the results of whatever you are about to do. And that can be incredibly powerful, because you're just creating space to delay that behavior, and hopefully in that time you will just see reason. and it's training, Chris. You've said it. How do you train yourself? Through practice.
Through reps, like in the gym.
And maybe you still do it, but you've started the process.
Started the decline of it. And again, like that perfection, all or nothing mindset. You make a mistake. Oh, I'm still doing this mistake. I'm not learning. I'm doing anything. So hang on. Last time you had 2 chicken nuggets, this time you only had 1 chicken. That's progress. Right? Is it where we want it to be? Not quite, but it's getting there.
And I love that, because that is at the heart of what I think of behavior change, behavior growth, is it's usually about reduction. It's not about eliminating. We don't want to stop eating, right?
You can't.
But we just want to reduce eating certain foods. So we need to start thinking about the language we use around it. And I say to people, if you just talk about reduction, it's got a far less dramatic effect, right? I'm going to eliminate chocolate. I'm going to eliminate carbs. I'm going to eliminate fat, No, I'm going to start by just reducing. And as you said, 1 versus 2 versus 3 versus 4, just make it gradual.
It's a tricky one as well, because sometimes, and again, this is why everything's nuanced and individual specific, right? Sometimes there might be a case where we do need to remove something completely for a short period of time, but again, it's not forever. And it's kind of like taking antidepressants. An antidepressant is there not for you to have forever and feel good about yourself.
Not a lifestyle.
Not a lifestyle. It's there to help you navigate a tricky part of your life, but also give that time, that space you need to develop the tools and strategies to help navigate that journey. So when you can come off those antidepressants, you have processes in place to navigate your journey in the future. And it's the same with the food. You might need to remove chocolate biscuits from your pantry for a period of time. But then once we have control over our decision making, we can bring that kind of stuff back, and it's not going to be that big trigger that it used to be, And that's what I always look for, is like when people ask me, oh, I'm going, they've got this party going on and I want to go out. Is it that okay? Well, are you choosing to go out? Do you understand the consequences of it? Because there's a consequence for every choice you make, negative or positive. If you are conscious and you still, you decide, I understand the ups and the downs, the highs and the lows of this choice, I'm going to do this choice, I'm fine with that, If you just go and do it and with no decision or no thought around your consequences, that's an issue.
And that's that kind of going back to that being short-term, immediate gratification. I just want to.
That's what,
just because, and I think that can be trained over time.
Absolutely.
But if you are expecting to be able to control yourself, again, going back to this whole willpower thing, and you've never done it before successfully, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And I think this setting ourselves up to be successful often looks like making it easy, and people don't like that. Oh, that's too easy. Yeah, but you want to feel good, and you need to feel good now. And then we can gradually raise the criteria and make it more challenging.
Yeah.
But if we're setting you up to, do an hour in the gym, an hour's cardio, drinking 2 gallons or whatever you need to drink, how likely are you in your current state where you've never done anything like that before?
Yeah, it's just not going to happen, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I think it's accepting that it's not about making it easy, it's about making it easy to feel good.
Yeah. And where you are right now, you might just be starting on your fitness journey, and you're like, I'm only going once a day or once a week, I should say, or twice a week, and I'm still not great with my food. It's like, okay, that's your start point. Doesn't mean in 6 weeks, 10 weeks time, that's where you're still going to be.
I know. And there's 2 things going on there. You're building a habit. So initially, I'd say to people, you just want to get in the habit of getting in the car and driving to the gym.
Yeah.
One woman had been in a gym, can't remember, and she just had this thing about going. So I said, just drive to the gym, get a coffee, have fun, and drive home.
Yeah.
And then she was going into the gym and talking to people and coming. But I mean, to some people that would look ridiculous. Say to you, just drive to the gym and get a coffee. But for her level of where she was,
that would be huge for her.
That was huge.
Yeah.
So the criteria was developing a habit of getting ready and going to the gym. And then, as you just said, recognizing the starting point. I've tried to use a range of analogies for that. I mean, one is a child learning to walk.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They're scrabbling around on the floor. That's early walking, right?
Yeah,
it's movement.
And on that, this is what I always use analogy as well. It's like, imagine your child takes their first steps and then falls over, and you say, you failed, you're done, give up, you're not walking ever again. It's like, what? You encourage them. Every step is a success. They might do 2 steps for weeks. Doesn't matter. They're still progressing. They're getting better. Each step is a little bit better than last time.
But that's different.
Yeah.
No, it's the same principle. It's the same principle. And then I used to say to people, we encourage kids to walk, we encourage them to talk, and then we spend the rest of their childhood telling them to sit down and shut.
Too noisy, sit down.
Yeah. God, I wish they'd never learned to walk. But it's so true. And I think once people can start to see that it's basic principles, it's not saying that we are a child on the carpet.
No.
It's saying the principle of encouragement and reinforcing and making it easy for them to feel good is what we need to do to ourselves.
Have that motivation or the inspiration. Keep trying, even though you're not getting it right all the time. It's so my background, obviously a lot of sales and marketing in my previous life. We used to teach our guys that would talk to people and call up people and all that stuff, is you need to, you don't stop, right? It might take you 100 calls to get 1.
Yeah.
But if you give up at 99, you're never realizing that 1. And then from 100, the next 5 calls you make are all good. That works.
Yeah.
But you don't know unless you keep going. And you could be that one moment away from achieving the goal. And I think this is a lot of the time what people go wrong, is that they start some good traction, they make some good progress, something in life challenges them, they fall off the wagon and they say, well, I'm done, right? Or I've stuffed it up. If they just got back on the horse and understood that, hey, look, it might have delayed some things, right, in this case, but they kept on progressing, you're going to get to your goal at some point. It might not be, again, to your expectation, which may not be aligned with your reality, but at some point, if you keep working towards it, you're still going to get there.
The other one I think is, how do you train, and which is kind of what you're talking about there, is persistence. Some people call, I guess in jargon, it's like grit,
Yep.
hammering away at stuff. And I'm really fascinated by that, by the people that will push themselves.
Yeah.
And get these setbacks. I mean, we know they're out there. What was it? It was the Kentucky Fried Chicken man, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's a good example.
In his 60s, and how many times did he get told no? And like you said, it was the 120th person who said, "Yeah, I'll give it a go."
Yeah.
But we are not encouraged to persist after a certain number. It's for some people, it's once.
Yes. Yeah, or two, three. That's kind of like the normal range, is one couple of times, and that's
Yeah. And I remember a stat that fascinated me when you said about giving up just before you get to that 99, 100, is so many people quit the marathon at the 2Ks from the end. They just collapse. And that's knowing where it is.
Yeah.
Imagine if every time people give up on a business, they're literally
so close
away from going over the line. And so really just being persistent and consistent is the secret. And it's not really a secret, is it?
It's a secret. We all bang on about it a million times, but everyone else wants that magic pill or special formula.
Yeah.
One thing that we're all not telling anyone. Also, I use this one for a lot of people with children or family. It's like you start your own journey, get going. Other people are going to see what you're doing and go, "Oh, I want a piece of that as well." At the start, especially with other people that have not been into fitness before, they'll get a lot of people chipping away at them. And why are you doing that? You always do this. It always fails. It's like, just ignore that crap, okay? What you're doing when you're trying to improve your life is you're showcasing them and their insecurities, and they're picking at you because they are insecure about themselves. It's highlighting insecurities for them. Subconsciously, they think, I need to bring them back down to my level. They shouldn't get too far ahead of me, because then I'm going to feel bad about myself. Let that noise drop away. Focus on what you need to do. They're going to see that, actually, if she can do it, he can do it. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe I'll also give it a go as well.
Years ago, I'm sure it's Tony Robbins talked about the thermostat effect, that you have a ceiling on what you think is possible for yourself. Yeah. And I knew that. I felt that. So this journey into fitness just was next level for me. I thought, I can't do that.
So you proved your own, you broke your own procedures.
Yeah. But you have this, the minute you start to achieve above a certain, something pulls you back, and it can be the people in your life. Just,
love them to bits, but maybe don't talk to them about that kind of stuff, or don't let them impart their point of view on those certain things. Yeah.
And that ties back into that environment, which includes people.
Yeah.
Who are the people in your environment, and how are they supporting you?
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. Have you seen the experiment they did with fleas on that? So they put some fleas on a table, right? And fleas can jump super high. I forget how high it is, right? But they put a cup on them, and if they jump really high, they hit the top of the cup, right? Yeah. And they leave that cup for a period of time. They take that cup off, and the fleas never jump any higher than that cup anymore, even though they could jump 5 times higher, right? Their perception now is that's their ceiling. And we do that to ourselves, right? We put a ceiling on ourselves, like you say. I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, if you say you can't, then you can't. But if, you know what? I'm going to do my damnest to achieve this, even though I feel like it's out of the league. I'm going to work like it is. At least you put yourself in the position to actually achieve it.
That learned helplessness, again, occurs in school.
Yep. Occurs in every single person, right?
Yep.
Helplessness.
Repeated efforts to try and succeed. And I've often said to people, when people say, "Oh, there's this really weird guy, he just sits around and doesn't talk," and I go, that little weird guy was probably once a weird kid, right?
Yeah.
Who just gave up.
Yeah.
And now, as an adult, he doesn't even try and interact with people because he got repeated knockbacks. And understanding where we're subject to that or experiencing efforts that have never actually worked out for us.
Yeah.
And just understanding that just what you said is, now we're adults, we've got the ability to control.
Yes, a lot of that stuff, change behaviours and that. I mean, learned helplessness is actually something I talked about a wee while ago in a reel that I did, because it is something that's trained and ingrained in us, but it's also untrainable, and it does again relate into that anterior amygdala cortex system, where we train ourselves to understand that we always fail. That's our expectation as well, is that we might even still give things a go, but subconsciously we're like, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And I felt that, right? You just feel it. This isn't going to work out, and you think, well, you've already set the outcome.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that I've challenged people is, change your language.
Yeah.
What you say, and people will go, oh, it feels so fake, it feels so, and I go, yeah, because you've done it before.
Saying anything positive to yourself will feel fake because you don't do that.
And that is part of going back to what we talked about at the beginning, recognizing patterns of behavior, and it's your knee-jerk response, oh, I can't do that. Or I usually struggle with things like that. Used to be my one. I often find it difficult. That was just your phrase that you use with anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I find it quite hard to learn things quickly.
That's the big one, actually. I'm a slow learner. So
yeah.
No, not.
Yeah.
You're just learning differently. Your style of learning will be different. You'll be good at learning fast in other areas. Maybe it's not book smart. It could be physically smart, logically smart, whatever it is. Emotionally smart. That's a big one.
Yeah. And I often say to people, slow start, fast finish.
Yeah, daughter's in the here, right? Been fantastic talking to you, as it always is. Yeah, really enjoy our conversations. Anything else you want to wrap up with?
Yes, there is something, and that is the fact that appreciating that you are not your behaviour is probably something that I would share with people. Separate yourself from your behaviour, because you are who you are. Your behaviour shifts and changes over time, but at your essence, your spirit, your heart, your core. Because a lot of people have done things that they're not proud of, have made mistakes, as you talked about, and that becomes their identity that they take with them. And I think that is also linked to making mistakes, letting go of who we were and what we've done.
I'm stuff up.
Because some people have made major mistakes. I mean, we've all made stuff or said stuff or that we wish we could take back. And I think letting go of that, seeing your behaviour as your identity, is really important. Yeah,
that guilt, or the resentment that you might feel, or whatever it is, like, it's not helping, it's not serving you. Does it serve you? No, it doesn't. So as much as it might, that maybe something happened to you, I can relate to this, is that I had to let go of that feeling, that resentment, because it was only impacting on me and people that I cared about. And well, the people that hurt you are off living another life, they're no concern or whatever. So I was like, well, it's not justifying anything. It's not saying that, well, it's okay what they did or what I did. It's saying it's done. It's in my past. I'm not going to let my past define me. I'm going to reset on my life and move forward with my own positive way, and not carry that baggage through me with me anymore. Well, thanks so much for your time today. It's been awesome. Appreciate it.